Bradley Beal is going to Phoenix. What does that mean for the Celtics? Plus, Boston active on the trade market ahead of the draft. And is it possible that Grant Williams is gone in a sign and trade? It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and I'm here for you every day, Monday through Friday, with a free, fresh podcast directly to your device. If you open up your favorite podcasting app, click subscribe. This show will show up as soon as I drop a new episode. Watch the show on YouTube as well. Ring the bell, get notified when the video drops. Hop into the comment section. Let me know what you think about the podcast, about everything. Today's show is brought to you by, who's it brought to you by? PrizePicks. PrizePicks. First-time users can get a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code LOCKEDON. That's PrizePicks.com. Promo code LOCKEDON. I'm John Karalis. I used to play. Now I cover the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. And today, it's all about trades and rumors and stuff like that. Starting off with the Bradley Beal trade. In the second segment, we'll talk about how active the Celtics are ahead of this upcoming draft, what they might do with the 35th pick potentially there, and Grant Williams. There are rumors about Grant Williams. Maybe he's being moved. So that's all. That's the layout of the show, which when I click this button here on YouTube, you can see over my shoulder that way. I'm learning it. That's the show. So let's start off with Bradley Beal being traded. It's reported that the Wizards and the Suns have completed a deal that, are in the process of completing a deal that will include Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, a variety of picks, a bunch of second-round picks, which, by the way, I've been saying are super valuable, and the second-round picks are going to get the job done here in this deal. Chris Paul is likely to be flipped. This will end up being a 3-team deal by the time it's finally announced. So Beal is gone. He's gone out west. And so how does that impact Boston? Well, first of all, I got to say, it goes to what we were saying last week, that Boston isn't interested. Boston shouldn't be interested. Any suggestion that Boston would have paid a price of Jaylen Brown for Bradley Beal is outrageous. It didn't take into account anything that the Wizards were trying to do. And so, yeah, I thought when I suggested a trade to Miami centered around Kyle Lowry and what I think was Kyle Lowry and Duncan Robinson or other salaries, it was all like salary dump type of stuff. And what the Wizards want is to clear space, and they're tanking. They're now in the process of they're tearing it down to build it back up. That's where they are. They fired their front office. They basically rebuilt their front office. Now they're rebuilding their team. So instead of going to Miami, he went to Phoenix, which is a good thing for Boston because as much as we might say, and people here might say, I see it in the comments all the time, oh, Bradley Beal is declining and all that stuff. Sure, maybe, but he is coming off of one of his most efficient seasons. He only played 50 games, so that's always going to be the risk with Bradley Beal. But he still, as a third star in Phoenix, is going to be, I think there's a potential to be, it's going to be really good. I don't know what they're going to be defensively, but I think that has the potential to be a very high-powered offense. In Miami, and there are rumors that Damian Lillard could be on Miami's radar. I don't know how they're going to get him, but probably along the same lines. It's going to be a Kyle Lowry salary dump deal. If Dame wants out of Portland and is looking to land somewhere, Miami could be a place that he might say, hey, you know what? after all of these years are important, let me just go diagonally completely across the country to the furthest possible team away from me and go to Miami. And that could be a fun pairing over there. Think about, I know a lot of you in the comments are not like, you're more in make fun of Jimmy Butler mode now, but regardless, that attitude that Jimmy has plus the attitude that Dame has, that's going to be a team is there a more Miami Heat culture guy out there not on Miami than Damian Lillard? I don't think so. So that would be an interesting thing to watch. But for now, Miami doesn't gain any new ground next season. I know they just went to the finals. That was such a ridiculous run to the finals. I still don't think that Miami, over the course of 82 games, is going to be all that great. I think they're going to be down in the bottom half of the playoff picture, 5, 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there. I still don't think from November to March they're going to pull the same thing that they pulled in this playoff run. And I'm not taking anything away from their playoff run. It was just a wild, crazy outlier playoff run. Taking away from Miami's ability to get better obviously helps the Celtics. It takes a challenger out of their way. Now it does impact Boston's ability to maybe make a deal because the Suns were inquiring about Malcolm Brogdon, and now that's basically off the table. They're done dealing. The thing about this deal for Phoenix is it's basically the last ditch effort at a super team. They're going for it one more time. They've got a couple of years. I think they're going to take advantage of what might be the last 2 years of Kevin Durant. I think he's under contract for a couple more years. They're going to take advantage of this last little bit of a window and see if they can't use this super team to power their way offensively to a championship. I don't know if it's going to work. Beal as the number one guy might have run its course, but Beal as the number 3 behind Devin Booker, who's now your primary ball handler, with Chris Paul gone. Kevin Durant obviously there as your main guy, and Beal kind of picking up for whatever, doing what he does, but also picking up for whatever lost offensive production, at least scoring wise, that might come from Devin Booker being more of a facilitator, because it's gonna land on him to be more of a facilitator. So if he sacrifices 5 points a game, then that's where Bradley Beal comes in and makes that up. So it has the potential to be really, really good. But they're clearly going for it one last time with the super team before super tax kicks in, and hey, more power to them. They're not going to have a lot of opportunity to build. So whatever guys they have around Durant and Booker and Beal, that's going to be their team. But it's not going to involve Malcolm Brogdon. And I don't know what Miami's going to do, if they're going to find a way to get Lillard. The rumors are that they seem to be hopeful. That would be an interesting scenario there. It would obviously propel Miami to a little bit of a higher, like they would make their push to move into the top 4. Obviously Boston is at the top with Milwaukee. We'll see what they do. Obviously there's a lot of moving parts there. Philly is an interesting team. Do they bring Harden back? Can they bring Harden back, or is he off to Houston? That's going to change a lot up there. Cleveland, how do they react from their disappointing playoffs? So all of that stuff is obviously very fluid. We're only in the middle of June. So I still don't know how these teams are going to be constructed. We haven't seen anybody be able to make a signing yet. So Miami could still do something to pivot and get into that top half of the East. But for now, good news for Boston that Beal is on his way out of the conference. Again, regardless of what you think of Beal individually, in a scenario with other stars, he has the potential to be really, really dangerous because the workload is lessened and maybe he can stay healthy. And if he can stay healthy without as much pressure, he becomes super dangerous. He's still only 30 years old. So there is that. All right, so if Malcolm Brogdon is out, what's next? That means he's still going to be on the roster for now. Draft night is coming up this week, and who knows? We're going to see if the Celtics can make a move before then. According to multiple reports, they are active. I'll talk about their level of activity next. First, today's show is brought to you by Ibotta. Groceries, school shopping, all that stuff. School shopping's coming around the corner before you know it. You can get a little something for yourself as well, and you know you're already doing it, so why not get some cash back for it with Ibotta? You can earn cash back on every shopping trip. Ibotta gives you cash back on hundreds of grocery items, from produce to personal care to pantry goods. Either link your loyalty account or upload your receipt afterwards when you shop, and you get your cash back. It is super easy. The average Ibotta user earns $120 a year in real cash back. That could cover the cost of the whole shopping trip. Or maybe your cash back can help buy that flight that you've been trying to get. It's summer's vacation season. That can always help. Or maybe you can use it to go to like a Red Sox game or whatever team you like, or dinner. Anything you want. Typical basket of groceries was over $50 more expensive by the end of 2022. So you could earn 2.5 times that in cash back with Ibotta, and even more depending on how much you use it. So go to Ibotta.com. You can download the Ibotta, IBOTTA, on the Google Play or App Store. Use the code LOCKED. Ibotta is offering you $5 for just trying Ibotta if you use the code LOCKED when you register. Go to the App Store or Google Play Store, download the free Ibotta app, use the code LOCKED. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store, and use the code LOCKED. I want to thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Locked On's mock draft, Locked On NBA's mock draft special is here, and it's bigger than ever. Follow the entire first round in a 6-episode ultimate mock draft experience. Only Locked On can deliver. All episodes are available right now on the Locked On NBA Big Board on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So the Celtics are reportedly active. Our friend Brian Robb from Mass Live got word that the Celtics are out there actively shopping. Brad Stevens doing his job, looking around, seeing what he can get. Obviously, the Celtics are going to try to tinker around the edges. And as we have talked about recently, the Celtics are trying to solidify their backcourt. They're trying to maybe fix up their front court a little bit. We don't know what the deal is with Rob. Actually, tomorrow's show is going to be about Robert Williams. The Celtics are very likely going to keep Derek White. There's reporting out there, Yahoo Sports' Jake Fisher, saying that Derek White is probably sticking around, which is not a surprise. He was really, really good this past season. So, yeah, of course he's going to stick around. He's the absolute perfect Celtic. I would expect Marcus Smart to stick around because of, obviously, his history and the Celtics, his defensive ability and all of that stuff. And the fact is that Malcolm Brogdon played 65 games, and that was like the absolute maximum, it seemed like. And as I've said before, the fit, just as great a season as he had a really, really good season. It was always weird that he and Tatum and Brown just couldn't function together exactly the way we thought that they might. And I do think that the pivot in the style of play and the coaching change at the beginning of the season might have played into that. So here we are, that Malcolm Brogdon is probably on his way out. It would seem that he's on his way out. And as I've done on the podcast, I've said it probably on 3-4 different podcasts at this point. If the Celtics, I would expect the Celtics to try to use Brogdon to shore up the front court. You take the Brogdon backcourt piece and you turn it into some kind of front court piece. And then if Grant Williams walks, and I'll get to Grant in a little bit, if Grant walks or they trade him, the Brogdon trade can bring in one of these other front court pieces. Now, I don't know what that front court piece is going to be, who it's going to be. I really got to talk about, when I talk about pieces, I got to talk about it in terms of human beings. These are actually human beings. I got to stop saying what and start saying who more often. I got to be cognizant of that. I always feel bad because we get into this mode of just talking about guys like they're like they are chess pieces. Like, okay, I got a Brogdon and I got this Peyton Pritchard here on the shelf. Take these pieces. But anyway, I think the Celtics can upgrade their front court with Brogdon. Where does that go? Does it go to Chicago? Do you go to New Orleans? Do you see if Vucevic is available? Do you see if Valanciunas is available? Those guys are like Valanciunas in New Orleans. I don't know what New Orleans is going to do. New Orleans has an issue, obviously, with Zion Williamson, and my Wednesday Locked On NBA partner, Jake Madison, is the host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast. And he's been saying, like, they're so pissed off that they are actually like considering moving Zion after not playing and all of the off the court stuff. I think it's more warning shot, more like, hey, Zion, here's your name in trade rumors. Listen up, and maybe you straighten yourself out a little bit, and maybe hearing your name in trade rumors humbles you a little bit. But I don't know what New Orleans is going to do. I don't know what their plan is. And so if Valanciunas is available there and he's got 1 year left, and I think it's at something like 18 million. If there's a way to get him, I don't know. But that type of guy that makes a little less than Malcolm Brogdon, you take a 1 year flyer, you get his bird rights, and then if it works, if there's something there that you like and it works out, then you can sign him long term or whatever. So I think that there is a possibility that the Celtics, in their activity, especially on draft night, can say, we're going to offer Brogdon. We have other possibilities here. They have the possibility of a sign and trade for Grant Williams in July. They could come up with the framework of a trade that would be agreed upon before free agency opens. And if Grant Williams is open to a sign and trade to, I don't know, pick a team, then that could be part of the facilitation of a move there. I don't think the Celtics are going to bring back all three guards. I think they're going to try to come up with a cheaper way or a more evenly distributed way of building their roster. So it could mean that these two guys are out and one new guy is in, and they save a little bit of money, or they bring in a guy that's going to be out next season and they try to save a little bit of money that way. I'm still not 100% clear on what the Celtics are going to actually do. Do they want to get under the tax? Do they want to come all the way down below the tax line, which they can? They can, because the repeater tax is so punitive that they'll go back to paying the tax next year when Jaylen's extension kicks in, and obviously after that. But if they could duck the tax 1 year, are they actively looking to do that and hope that they don't screw themselves to a point where they've hurt their depth and cost themselves a chance at a championship because they want to save money 3 years from now. And I'm not saying like the saving money down the road. Hey, you don't care. And I've said before, I've said this exact thing before. I know you don't care. And I don't care because it's not my money. But I'm trying to deal with reality. And if the reality is, if the Celtics are going to become massively expensive because of the repeater tax and it's going to shorten the window, would you rather take the chance now by tinkering to a point where, hey, it's going to be not as deep, but you're keeping your top 7 guys, and you just, hey, we'll play Sam Hauser more, we'll play Muscala more if he sticks around, or one of these other guys more, Peyton Pritchard more. If that's the case, I don't know. I mean, I think the long-term ramifications are you break this team up 2 years later, 3 years later, 4 years later because of the repeater. Like by the time it kicks in, if you're saving yourself a little bit, if you're extending this by a few years versus breaking it up in 2 years, you know what I mean? There's some value to getting under the tax, to saving yourself the money now and really going for it after that. I'm just saying that there's an argument there to be made. The Robert Williams sign and trade. Let's take a second here. We'll get into the Robert Williams sign and trade and what the Celtics could be looking for there. First, today's show is brought to you by PrizePicks. Daily fantasy, made easy and done right. It's very simple. You pick 2 to 6 players, and you figure out, will they score more or less than their PrizePicks projection. PrizePicks sets the projection, and they set it on every sport you watch. Whatever sport it is that you watch, I'm telling you, PrizePicks has it available. So you pick 2 to 6 players, you pick more or less. If you win, you can get up to 25 times your money. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. Super easy, safe and fast withdrawals. Currently operational in over 30 states in Canada. And the best part is, it's not you against me and other listeners. It's not you against experts with algorithms and stuff. No, it's you and the numbers. So if you get them right, you win. If you get them wrong, you lose. And then you just keep on going from there. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users, you get a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. So whatever you deposit up to $100, they will match that exact number with the promo code Locked On. So make sure you sign up at prizepicks.com or on the PrizePicks app and enter that promo code Locked On for that instant deposit match up to $100. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Like I said, tomorrow's show is going to be we're going to continue with the individual off-season podcasts. It's the Robert Williams podcast. And when we're doing a podcast about Robert Williams, that means I got to get the designated Boston Celtics Robert Williams talker guy, Chris Forsberg. Chris Forsberg joins the show tomorrow. So the Celtics are possibly entertaining the thought of signing and trading Grant Williams. Now, the reason Grant Williams would be into this idea is that it opens up his trade market. It opens up his the potential suitors. If the Celtics are willing to do a sign and trade, if they're not going to sign him. So the scenario goes, Brogdon gets traded for big man X. That big man comes in. The front court becomes Robert Williams, big man to be named later, Al Horford. And oh, by the way, Danilo Gallinari, who opted back in, and he's just about ready to go. He's been rehabbing all year long. So theoretically, he will still be part of the team. I will say that if Boston wants to go a different direction, Brogdon plus Gallinari gets you a big contract or 2 decent-sized contracts depending on how they want to go. But regardless, right now, your big man rotation can be Rob, Al, Gallo, and a player to be named later, acquired via the Malcolm Brogdon trade. Then you can use the sign and trade for Grant Williams to, at this point, I think you still have the opportunity. I still have to see what's in and what's out when the final collective bargaining agreement gets released. I think this summer you can still create a traded player exception, so that gives them an opportunity to still make a move at the trade deadline. This is kind of like the last year where they can do some of these things. They can find a way to save some money, to prepare for the new CBA, to get under the super tax and avoid all of that stuff next year, still keep the bulk of their rotation intact. Maybe you solve a little bit of a crunch with your starting lineup, and I don't know how the starting lineup is going to shake out, but do they go with Rob back in the starting lineup next season? Do you go with Marcus / Derek White with Jaylen, Jayson, and Rob and another big? Do you go double big? Do you go with a tweener there? Do you go with, does Grant Williams stick around? I don't know. Does Gallinari? No, he won't start. Does the new guy that they get start? Lots of possibilities here as we start to try to forecast the season. But if the Celtics are entertaining these sign and trades, then hey, maybe there's help on the wing. Maybe there's some bench shooting there. Maybe one of these other teams can, I don't know, give the Celtics somebody useful. Or maybe it's just draft picks. Maybe the sign and trade is a bunch of second round picks that the Celtics are really going to need to be valuable, and they can save cap space and have a bunch of second round picks. I think one thing the Celtics should probably try to do is stock up on second round picks moving forward. I really think the Celtics should make it not a focus, but part of, hey, it's like, as you're going shopping, hey, remember, you're just going to pick up a couple of these other little things. If you see, remember, you got to pick up a pack of gum. Remember, you got to pick up a second round pick here and there when you can, if you can pick up an extra one, because those are going to be super valuable. I think with the new CBA, the second round picks, like the Celtics have the 35th pick, that is an incredibly valuable pick to have in the middle of this new CBA, because 35, the difference between talent at 25 and 35 is negligible. All of the guys in that, once you basically get past 20, maybe sooner, but once you get past 20, that the next 24 guys, maybe more, are all similarly talented. The only difference is the end of the first round guys get guaranteed contracts, and the second round guys can become two-way guys, can become multi-year contracts with partial guarantees, with 1 year guarantee and a bunch of non-guarantees. You can structure the deals kind of however you want, and it's just so much more valuable. So, hey, if the Celtics can swing a few of those picks along the way, save themselves some cap space, if Brogdon gets you your big and Grant helps you clear some more space, and you stock up on a few second round picks, and maybe that's just the plan. And you lose Brogdon, who's the sixth man of the year, and that sucks. You lose Grant Williams, who, before everything happened with Joe Mazzulla at the end of the season, I thought Grant was an incredibly valuable piece. I like Grant Williams. I think he's a really good player. I don't understand why he was on the outs. I was hoping it was injury related, but okay. So if he's out, if you turn those two guys into one useful guy, and maybe that little sacrificing of depth actually helps it helps in like the Miami Heat way, where the guy, you're taking away one very talented guy in Malcolm Brogdon, and you're bringing in very specific role players to kind of fill the gap. maybe those role players actually can do their specific jobs like Gabe Vincent did and Caleb Martin did, and those types of guys. Maybe the top end talent, maybe there was so much talent on the roster that it was almost too much, and it never, the fit was never quite right. You take a couple of those pieces out, and it's like me losing a couple pounds, and the pants fit a little bit better. You know what I mean? So yeah, I understand. It's the summer. I'm working on it. The Celtics, by moving Grant Williams, maybe they do get one of those specific guys, and or maybe they just get draft capital and it's a financial savings. But I can see this as a possibility. This is all tracking with how I thought this offseason was going to go. Brogdon potentially out, Grant potentially out. One guy to fill one of those gaps, shore up your front court. You got a back court. If Smart and White are, maybe you start one and you bring the other off the bench, and maybe you get a different sixth man of the year next year. Maybe it's time to put Smart back on the bench. Maybe you bring Derek White off the bench. However you do it, you use more Peyton Pritchard over the course of the regular season, and you deal with it. You use more Sam Hauser over the course of the regular season, and you deal with it. And maybe you're not winning 57 games. Maybe you win 54 games or 50 games, and you're a top 3. But hell, what the hell? You say you want to get home court, but what the hell did home court mean this past season? Nothing. So I don't know. I feel like there's a path. All of these trades and rumors and all of that stuff, I still think the Celtics obviously have championship potential, but I don't know. I feel like there's the possibility that you shrink your overall talent a little bit, but by getting guys who just know, hey, I'm not being sixth man of the year. All I got to do is come out here and shoot. All I got to do is come out here and defend. All my job is to come out and distribute or rebound or do one thing. If a guy knows that that's his one job and he doesn't have to do everything, then sometimes that's actually better. Sometimes just having the right role players in the right spots is enough to kind of get you through. And the other guys, if you get too many guys that can do too many things, then you fall into the trap of too many guys try to do too many things. It's a weird balance in the NBA because you want as many good players as possible. And then if they're not the right good players, it can be counterproductive. And the Celtics still trying to figure out that balance. Somebody's coming back to the team. Somebody's going out to get that guy, to get a new guy. Whoever it is, the rumors are really starting to fly. With the draft this week, who knows what's going to happen. So I will be on top of it. Like I said, we will continue our individual off-season discussion podcast. Tomorrow's going to be the Robert Williams podcast. Chris Forsberg will be here. As the draft gets closer and rumors are firing off, I will certainly address those in the podcast. And just so you guys know, like starting next week, Mailbag Mondays. So johnkaralis.com/mailbag, johnkaralis.com/mailbag. That will get you the questions to me. And every Monday for the off season, I will do a mailbag for you and have some fun with it. So do that. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for all of that stuff. And now all of you regular listeners, you everydayers, I would love, love, love it if you share the podcast, tell your friends and family and everybody that they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast. Is right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.